So I got an email from Cliff High Webbot, the Webbot guy. Remember the old science thing? Bill Nye, the science guy. This is Cliff High, the Webbot guy. Just a little email to me, with a personal note at the end, but I'm not going to read that part. Maybe just a gist of what that was, because it's not really that personal. But he said, Joe, just to let you know, the data streaming in now likely will not be interpreted. Coming in too fast. But immediacy data is showing that silver will be breaking loose. Note a couple of things. So, he's saying he may not be putting together another Webbot report, say for the month of March, as right now so much data is coming in so fast, it's too fast. It's hard for him to even use. By the time he writes the report, new data is coming in anyways that, may supersede what he'd already gotten done, so to speak. So that's interesting. But a couple of things to note, he says. First, silver will rise fast, partly due to the change in the silver to gold ratio starts changing Monday. So 3 days from now. Again, according to his interpretation of the data, which is not perfect, at least sometimes, but then sometimes it is perfect. So all I can say is sit back and let's see what happens. So silver to gold ratio starts changing Monday. This is according to the immediacy data, and will keep changing according to the data for the next 6 business days. So essentially that should be like Monday to Monday. Then you should start to watch Bitcoin. The reason being that as gold and silver start rising fast, Bitcoin trails along. Not in dollar amount, but in the rate of change of the dollar value. That is to say, silver prices ahead faster, gold almost as fast, then Bitcoin, all relative to paper currencies. Now, that last part, relative to paper currencies, does not mean US dollar only. As I've been covering recently, for a little while, so-and-so's, like I just said with Venezuela, they're devaluing their dollar 30-something%, 37, whatever it was, boom. What happened to gold? Silver? It went up 37% in that country. China's been devaluing again lately. What happens to the price of gold and silver in China? Goes up. Not because the price went up, because the devaluation of their currency. Brazil. I mean, name a country right now. Canada. Mentioned them 100 times already. Used to be close to 1-to-1 with our dollar. It's now 70%, 70 cents to our dollar, 30% loss. That's the equivalent of adding 30% to the today's price of gold. So you're talking $1,250 gold in today's price in American dollars. Add 30% to that. Not because gold went up, not because anything related to us, but because the Canadian dollar was devalued. Slowly but surely. It didn't happen overnight, but in recent times it's been going down kind of in a hurry, actually. So, of course, for you and I in America, well, we don't want to be the ones who keep the price kind of the same. Well, all these other countries are experiencing major problems, right? We want our country, our dollar, to essentially experience the same thing as far as the price of gold goes and silver. That's going to happen. He's not saying that won't. He's just saying, generally speaking, in paper currencies, the price, due to the devaluations that will be occurring, gold and silver will be going up. It is a mathematical certainty that the US dollar has to come down as well. Anything, not that we have a whole lot left in this country, that we do as far as exporting goes, becomes prohibitive on the world trade scene when our dollar is strong and everyone else's is really weak. It is beneficial to lower the value, devalue our dollar, so that our exports become competitive with the rest of the world, who is in a fast hurry to devalue their own currencies. So we're not just going to hold this strong dollar nonsense. Look back to 2008. Matter of fact, 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Take a look at the US dollar index. What was the dollar at before 2008? What was it at after that? And you will see at some point, which I'm not looking right now and I haven't looked in a long time, it was in the 70s. Right now the dollar index is like in the 90s. It was in the 70s back then. After it was already very strong prior to the 2008-2009, well, mini collapse, we'll call it. So you take that into consideration right now, 70, even to recent highs of 100 on our dollar, there's a 30% revaluation of gold right there, should that happen again. Of course, at the same time, you could argue, well, what if the club, while they're devaluing the US dollar, devalue gold and silver with their paper markets like they can do anyways? And I could not say that that's not a possibility, because it is a possibility. But this time around, even looking at the data we are shown by the club in their quote-unquote official numbers, gold and silver stockpiles are the lowest they've been in a really long time. If they're going to devalue the price of gold and silver, why did they allow them to rise recently to go past the high 10 or 1,000, 1,095, whatever, blew past 1,100, blew past 1,200, now 1,250. Silver, they strangled it around $14. It's now $15.50. Sizable move. Why aren't they just destroying the prices right now? Why, in 2014 November, did the CME group change their little rules to put in circuit breakers for gold and silver, so that if they move too much in a certain period of time during a trading day, circuit breakers are triggered? That hasn't been in place since, I don't know, forever? Never? It's because they know where precious metals are going. So it's not like America's going to be left out of this. Absolutely not. It says, but for you and your listeners, here is something to consider depending on their circumstances. As Bitcoin trails behind in rate of relative advance, it will reach about $650. Maybe $20 each side of the window. So somewhere around $650. Happens all too fast for the data to catch more than a glimpse. But at that point, no matter how far up silver has gone, it will then go swoosh upward, both due to relative to gold ratio still changing, and due to so much demand for silver. So maybe silver is $100 an ounce by then, and Bitcoin is trailing up in the upper 500s. The data shows a big push to sucker the stackers, both with bad language or propaganda, and with threats to nationalize. Note, talking here in the USA. But both are bogus attempts to induce dishoarding, which will fail. But note that when you see the push by the powers that be to get this dishoarding, is just before we get the real upswing in silver prices, due to what appears to be a bidding war showing up between India and China for their solar electric needs. And he says, below is personal for you. And I'm just going to summarize this with pretty much a sentence or two. I've told you what my thoughts were that I would love to happen in regards to the price of silver and the crashing of housing prices. And that's essentially what he's saying, that it's actually quite a possibility. And that is my thoughts on that previously, which based on his statement to me is like, you know what, that may be happening here in the near future. And that is, prices in housing come down, start collapsing. Meanwhile, precious metals start skyrocketing upwards. You're then able to say, wow, I've got such and such silver. Let's say you've been able to accumulate 1,000 ounces, just for easy math. And the price of silver is $100. Now, the numbers I've talked about, big webbots talked about, 100 is nothing. Hundreds of dollars per ounce is what has been in the data for a very long time and keeps showing up periodically. But I'm going to give you my worst case scenario for silver. You've accumulated 1,000 ounces. It's $100 per ounce. 100 times 1,000? $100,000? But I paid such and such for this silver. Oh my God. You may have paid less than $20,000. Let's just say you paid 20. You cost averaging at $20 an ounce. I bought $20,000 worth of silver. It's now worth $100,000. Wow. And that house that used to be $300,000, nice house, been on the market. They dropped the price again. Someone's desperate. They're dropping it again. Housing has pretty much collapsed. Excuse me, sir. I'm interested in your house. Good. Well, I want to sell it. Okay. You into watching markets, commodities? Oh yeah. Precious metals? Oh yeah. Okay. Listen. I'd like your house. Got 1,000 ounces of silver. You see the price today. You saw where it was last month and last week and the week before that. Going back for a little while now. Yeah. I really don't want to get rid of my silver at all. But if you're willing to take $100K for the house and you see what the charts are showing for silver, I'm willing to unload this to you for the house. He may think, if I get this, and from the charts I'm looking at, silver could be $150, $200. I just doubled what this guy wants to unload silver on me for. You know what? I'll take your offer. He may not want to sell the house for $100K. He may want to sell it for $150 or more. Now, granted, normally people would laugh, but you said it was worth $300. What do you mean $150? It didn't go down 50%. I'm sorry. In 2005, the high 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The house I'm renting right now, 2,900 square foot. It's a nice house. And I told, some people were asking, hey, show us the inside. You know, I forgot about that. I'll do that. Now that we've cleaned up quite a bit with all of our boxes and everything. This is a nice house. It's the nicest thing I've ever lived in my life, by the way. And it's a little over $1,500 a month. Okay? It's twice as big as my last house. You know what this house sold for? Because I could look it up. Just in 2011, by the way, I think is when it sold. Or 2011, 2012. Sold for $125 or $29. I think it was $129. $129,000 times 2, we'll round that off to 130, is $260,000. I don't have a hard time believing that that house was worth that much when it was first built. When was it built? 2005, at the absolute peak. Doesn't sound too absurd. Some of you right now are saying, no, it's not absurd to me at all. My house actually did the same thing. And maybe you got lucky and yours was one that rebounded a little bit. But it certainly didn't rebound back to where it was in 2005 and 6. We all know that. So, someone in this position may say, I'll sell you my house for $100K of silver because I know silver's going to go up. And I'm just going to hang on to it for a little while and sell it for a little bit. Maybe it'll go 200 and then I can sell it for twice as much as essentially sold the house for twice as much. You never know. At the same time, you might just say, I don't have time for all that. I'm going to go to the whatever coin dealer or a big boy. Hey, I'll unload 1,000 ounces on you. How much do I get today? Thank you, $100,000. And sir, here's $100,000 for your house. Maybe he wants cash. The bargaining point would be if they understand the value of precious metals and see where they've been going recently when this occurs recently, and say, well, I normally wouldn't take that low for the price for the house, but I can see where precious metals are going, and I do want those precious metals, so let's make a deal. Okay. That's when he makes out good because he's going to realize the price is going up. He can sell it later for more. You're good because you just sold it, something you bought for $20,000, and now you've got $100,000 for it. It went up 5 times its value. Even though you might be a little sick to your stomach when you see the even higher prices for silver. But the problem is, as Cliff said to me, maybe, not necessarily for sure, he said, but maybe that as soon as you can pull this off, you may want to do it and not wait. Well, I want to wait 2 more years. Maybe silver will be 300. Not because it won't be 300, but because at that point, it may become a lot harder to transfer deeds and titles and get that done due to crap that's happening. So he says you may try to pick the sweet spot in your life and figure, okay, I'm happy with this price. I'm just going to sell it, get the house. Now I own it free and clear. Titles on my name, everything's satisfied. Sigh of relief. Because let's be honest, if you sold $20,000 of silver for $100,000 or $150,000, and then you went and bought a house that was devalued because of what was happening, they're lowering the price. Finally, you can get the house. Finally, they can sell it. You're not going to be upset that you just bought a house essentially for $20,000 because that's what you paid for your silver. And then look back, oh, well, man, if I would have waited 2 years, I could have got $225,000 for that silver instead of $150,000. You're going to sit and look at your house and say, I own this. I don't make payments to anybody except for that tax collector. You have no mortgage payment. What could you do with an extra $1,500, $2,000, whatever a month you pay for your house? What could you do with that kind of money? Oh, you could do a lot. You could do a lot. So anyways, just want to give you that little update. Take care.